Hello everybody, today Mitzvah Hashem we're finishing finally this Parshas Tetzaveh. This is actually one of the last sikos the Rebbe said, but it's interesting, this is the last full sikos the Rebbe reviewed. Usually the Rebbe would review the sikos the same week, this he reviewed later. Anyways, this sikha we're talking about, they're talking about the idea from the service from Moshe Rabbeinu, how he enlightens up the Jews. And he lightens up, and he lightens us up, and lightens up our souls that our souls reveal them. The inner essence of our souls are revealed, and through this we light up the whole world and bring Mashiach. That's what we're talking about. So, I was trying to think of I heard today a story from a friend of mine. It seems like by seeing a tzaddik that it affects you. That's the whole idea, that when the Mashiach, somebody sees Mashiach, that it should affect him and change him. So he was telling me that he lived in France, and I guess he had a printing office. I don't know what he did, but he had a machine for printing. It cost $10,000, and he ran out of money. So they came and they were going to repossess the machine. The guy came. He says, "Listen, I don't want to take the machine back. It's too hard for me." He says, "Give me some money." The guy says, "I don't have much money." He says, "Give me whatever you have." So he goes to the bank and he finds out he has $500 left. So he comes back and he says the guy's just sitting and looking at this big picture of the Rebbe he has in the office, and he's just staring at it. And he says, "I only have $500. I'll give you a check." That guy says, No, I need a money order, but $500 is okay. So he came back for $500. That, we can see that. Then there are other instances of people seeing pictures from the Rebbe, and we can see many miracles happen. I myself had very, very, very miracles at seeing the Rebbe. But okay, let's go further. So now we're at the final part of this sikha, and the Rebbe is giving a bracha and asking Hashem that we should have the Gula Shlema right now. So we're repeating a little bit from last week, but not a lot. We're on page 108. We're on number 15. So may it be the will of Hashem. And this is the main thing, that we should not need to wait for 2 months until the month of Nisan. So before we talked about, the whole inyan was that there's the avoda from Adar, and that Moshe Rabbeinu put up and took down the tabernacle each day of the last week of Adar, and it wasn't until the month of Nisan that the level that we talked about before, Adar represents Aleph Dar, or Lufi Shel Olam, the master of the world, should dwell down into the world. So it means that we prepared it, and it wasn't until the beginning of Nisan that this actually happened. And in Nisan it says also that we will be redeemed. So this is what the Rebbe is talking about. That is, why should we have to wait for Nisan? We should have it right now. We should have Mashiach now. So that's what the Rebbe says. So may it be, we'll go over from the beginning. May it be the will of Hashem. And this is the main thing, that we should not need to wait 2 months until the month of Nisan, which in Nisan they were redeemed, and in Nisan they are destined to be redeemed. This is a quote. And since in the beginning of the month of Adar, especially the 7th of Adar, and its perfection on the Holy Shabbos, the 11th of Adar, the true and complete redemption, the building of the third base of Mikdash, the third holy temple, together with its dedication, will transpire in literal actuality. So the Rebbe is saying that Hashem should do this. Why? Because we already brings down that the 11th of Adar, which we know that the birthday of the Rebbe is the 11th of Nisan. 11 has to do with beyond the worlds. So he says that since the completion of the 7th day of Adar, which has to do with the 7th day, 7 days of creation, is completed from the 11th day of Adar, which has to do number 11, which has to do how Hashem is totally beyond the worlds. That this 11 should give strength. The Shabbos gives strength to the 7th of Adar, to the 7 days of creation, that this should be revealed, and this is the revelation when we reveal the level of Hashem beyond the world into the world. This is the true and complete redemption. The Rebbe says that we should happen this right now. Now I'm going to go on to explain more reasons why Hashem should bring Mashiach right this second, when the Rebbe is talking, and to add that in the leap year, which has 2 months of Adar, 60 days. There's even a more yearning of the month of Nisan for the month of Nisan, in which we were redeemed, in which we are to be destined redeemed, namely 60 days. We're yearning for 60 whole days. We're doing much more yearning, like we say in other places. Rebbe explains, by yearning and wanting a Mashiach to come right now, it comes faster. So here we have 60 days, in which, through this, we hasten even more by yearning and want with the revelation of the matters of the month of Nisan that should already begin at the beginning of the month of Adar. And all of this we see special virtue this year. So the Rebbe is going to go explain that this year the Rebbe was becoming 90 years old. It was the year of the Tzaddik. The Rebbe says, interesting, that he calls it the year of the Tzaddik, which is the 90th Tehillim. So it says, and all this recent special virtue this year, that even more so, that there should be, Hashem should bring right away Mashiach, that since on the 11th of Nisan, the year of the Tzaddik, will culminate in the connection with the Psalm of, to the Psalm of Tzaddik, which comes after the 89th. So the Rebbe is going to bring different sentences and different pasukim from the Psalms, from Tehillim, from 89, how this is talking about the coming Mashiach, and how this finally culminates in the end of the 90th Tehillim. Let's see it inside. So it says that the Psalm 89, which it says, I have found David my servant. I have anointed you with my holy oil. Remember, the oil is what the Jews bring to Moshe Rabbeinu. We are the one who anoint the Rebbe, including Moshe Rabbeinu, including the conclusion and the culmination of the Psalm. This is the same Psalm, the 89th Psalm before the 90th. Blessed is Hashem forever, Amen v'Amen. This is bringing God down all the way in the world, which concludes the verse, may the pleasantness established of our hand. That this is the end of the 90th Psalm. The 90th Psalm is the end of of what we're coming into, of what this year that we would be coming into the 90th Psalm. And it says in the end that we should establish, that we may Hashem establish our pleasantness. It's establish the work of our hands, which refers to the, what's it mean that we're the work of our hands, everything we do should it be established the work of our hands? Establish the work of our hands refers to the ultimate perfection of the dwelling of the divine presence in the third base of Mikdash. This we should have now. Well, how do we do this? This is through the completion of our deeds and service of this generation, not a prior generation, not the next generation, this generation, seventh generation, in which the accomplishment of Moshe, what Moshe started to do, when Moshe was the one who started bringing godliness in the world, in a special level nobody else did before, bring them all the way back down into this world, the Ikushkina, which the accomplishment of Moshe, the first Redeemer, and it's similar to the last, which is the Rebbe, the last Redeemer, of drawing the forth and revealing the godliness in the world to make a dwelling place for Hashem in the lowest realms, in the lowest realms. To make a dwelling place for Hashem in the lowest realms is complete. In other words, to make a dwelling place for Hashem in the lowest, these lower world, this is what we want. That's what Hashem wants. This is the coming Mashiach, that everything will be revealed. And we see that therefore, just like Moshe Rabbeinu was the seventh generation, he completed the same thing. The Rebbe is the seventh generation, as he said in the first Mimer, when he took on in his first Torah talk, when he took on when he accepted to be the leader, he said this is the seventh generation, and it should be for us. The next paragraph, that on the 11th of Adar, 60 days before the 11th of Nisan, the birthday of the Rebbe, there should already be the completion of this amazing phenomenon. Namely, what's this completion? The concept of 11th of Nisan. What's so amazing about the 11th of Nisan? I mean, we know it's a lot. It's amazing because the Rebbe was born, and as we said before, that's the essence of the person's reveal. But the Rebbe is going to explain this also, that we see that in the month of Nisan, the first 12 days of the month, as we said earlier, that each of the tribes would bring a different sacrifice, and each prince of the tribe, would be one per day, would bring a sacrifice. So which was the tribe that is the 11th day of Nisan? This 11th day of Nisan is the tribe of Asher. So Asher, it says about him, what it says about how wonderful his land is. It says that the bread from the land of Asher is rich in oil, and his feet will be immersed in oil. So we're talking about the oil, as emphasized in the beginning of the Torah portion Tetzaveh, and they shall take from you pure olive oil. So the Jew should take for you pure olive oil, as well as in the Torah portion of Sisa, which is the mincha of this holy Shabbat, the Rebbe speaking about, which begins the Torah portion of Sisa. In other words, the portion that we're talking about is Tetzaveh. The next portion is Ki Sisa. So what's it say over there? speaks about the anointing oil also in the next week's portion. It says over there, I have found David, my servant, I have anointed him with my holy oil, which is the main and ultimate perfection of the phenomena. So how does that happen? When David is anointed, when Melech Mashiach is anointed, when Moshe Rabbeinu is anointed, when the leader is anointed, this is the main and ultimate perfection that it says, I will raise up the head of the Jewish people. Kisisa, talking about I will raise up. That through the anointing of the head of the Jewish people, Moshe, our leader, the first Redeemer, similar to the last Redeemer, to be the King Mashiach, who will become and redeem us and lead us upright to our land, literally immediately. So Amen. So this is the Rebbe is talking about here, and explaining this is a very important thing, that we have to anoint the Melech Mashiach. The Jews have the power to bring Mashiach by anointing the king. That the Rebbe said many, many, many different times that all that's left, that all the service is done, everything is done, that all we have to do is receive the king. Receive the king. So what's it mean? Why receive? Because by receiving him, we anoint him. By following and saying the Rebbe who Melech Mashiach, that he's the king, and we follow what he says, we're elevating him. And we're putting oil, we're anointing him. And that by that way, by anointing him, he raises up to a higher level and brings us all with him. So, Mitzvah Hashem, we should see this right away, as the Rebbe says. And we should be together with everybody right away. Sei gesund, everybody. This is it. This is the end of this. Is the thing. Sei gesund.